Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so last time we recorded, we just covered some ground rules, so let's just go over them one more time. Um, let me pull up my So first, basics, be respectful of, everybody and their opinion. Everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. Convey them respectfully, though, obviously. Let's try our best to stay on topic. Um, I also saw this online, so I'm referring to another therapist who in group says, seek first to understand and not to be understood, which I love in a group. Um, and then try not to another therapist. She lets people yell out Elmo, which is enough, let's move on. So if someone's talking and talking and talking and talking, if you're comfortable enough with your group members, someone can be like, okay, Elmo, let's go, time to move on, which I love that because I feel like we're all pretty good
That's
at
really
it.
fun.
I might use
Yeah,
that
and
in
it's
another
fun and it's
aspect.
funny. Yeah, and it's lighthearted. So, okay. So first we're gonna do an icebreaker and then we'll move into our discussion. For this icebreaker, I don't know why this came to me, but I thought it would be fun for us to do. I have a question for everybody, and like we've been doing, I'll just go around and kind of call on people as we go. Right now, as you stand, okay, and what is it? September of 2024. If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, do you think your younger self would be proud of you right now? Would your younger self be proud of where you are? Or would your younger self be like, I don't know. Um, I'll go first. I think that the life that I'm living is exactly what my younger self would have loved for me, for sure. But on the other hand of that, knowing what I know now, I would have done things very different. I would have loved to wait to have kids until after college, financially stable. I would have loved to buy a house I would have loved to kind of do it the right way, I guess you would say. Um, but knowing younger me would have been like, girl, you are killing it. So my answer is yeah. Short and long answer, right? Um, but I think overall, yeah, I think that I would be exactly what she would want to be now. So, Katie, do you want to go next?
Yes. So I love this question. I think it would depend where I am in my younger self age.
Give me like
Because I
teenager. Like, how would your
okay,
teenager version of you?
the teenager version of me would probably be surprised that I'm alive. I was
That's okay.
very, yes, I was a few things. I mean, I was very promiscuous when I was a teenager. I
Sure.
was very depressed and anxious. I've definitely had, suicide ideation for a very long time.
Hmm.
Um, Tried once when I was 17.
Hmm.
And so she'd be surprised. But she'd also be surprised I'm gay. That's another thing. I didn't come out till I was 21. Didn't really know until I was then too.
Hmm.
Um, so she'd be surprised by that. But she would, yes, I agree, would say I'm killing it.
I love
Um,
that.
Being in school at this in my 30s, that's not something I would have thought I would do. But I also know when I was a teenager, I didn't care about school. I
Right.
didn't care. I didn't try.
Mhm.
And in my first round of college, I didn't try either. I played a sport and that was all I did. I didn't go to class or anything. Like I had to beg the dean to let me keep playing my final year. So I know that she'd be proud of where I am right now. She'd be proud that I'm living my true self. She'd be proud that I take my mental health seriously and I put myself first above everything. I put my brain above everything. I take my meds every day like I'm supposed to and I need to. So
Yeah.
I do think my younger self would be surprised by a lot of things, but very, very proud.
You're doing the dang thing.
I am doing the dang thing. I
One of
love
the
it.
things that I love about this question is that which I think to my, right, like my 16-ish, 17-year-old self. And I actually have a 17-year-old sister who is me. If I didn't have kids young, if I didn't take the path I took, she is me. And it's really interesting to like live vicariously through her. But it's so interesting because she's 17, she's a senior in high school, whatever. She is like thinking back to that age, she doesn't understand how hard it is to be a mom, a wife, in school, have a house, have all these responsibilities. So, like, I think about my mentality at 16 or 17, and I'd be like, girl, like, of course you're doing it because it's probably easy. Like, duh. And now I'm like, false. None of it's easy. That's a joke. So I feel like it's just interesting to think back on how you think back then because it's not accurate
Yeah.
typically. You know,
Yeah.
It's true.
it's
True.
very different than the real thing for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. What about you, Shauna?
I'm kind of with Katie. My younger self would be like, "Holy crap, you're still alive." But I was pretty naughty when I was younger. Did a lot of partying. I I think my younger self would be happy where I am, as in me being married, having kids, a house. I think my younger self would be proud that I am in my master's program and that I am going for social work. I have created a wonderful life for myself and surrounded myself with people who love me. Unlike what I did when I was a teenager, that I thought the people that cared about me. I think my younger self, if I were to kind of say anything back to them, it would be, I wish you would get your degree sooner. As, 40-year-old plus woman, it's hard to think like, oh, I'm never going to retire because I started my career when I was 40 something. I will be working forever. But I guess it's never too late to start. My mom got her degree as an RN when she was 50. And she was really an inspiration to me that you can accomplish anything that you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. My first career was a teacher, and I still am a teacher, but social work is where my heart lies, so I can integrate the two of them. So I think my younger self would be very proud of where I am, drug free, living my best life, no alcohol, sober, understanding what's going on around me, relying on people that are keeping me safe and love me for who I am every day.
That
So,
how special.
mhm.
I love that so much. I think it's so important that, you know, not only does this exercise, it's not only like fun and interesting to think about your younger self, whether it be 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but it's also kind of like a gratitude thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, thank gosh for where I am right now. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because if I were anywhere else, you know what I mean? Things could be looking a lot different than they do right now. And I feel like it's also important too, because like, Shauna, you just like proved the point that it's like no regrets. Like you're doing the thing. Like
Yeah.
you're in it to win it. I feel like it's, never too late. And why
Yeah.
not? The time's gonna
Yeah.
pass anyways. You know what I mean? And now
Yeah.
you're gonna live
Yeah.
out your dream forever and ever and ever. So
Yeah. It brings kind of tears to my eyes to think like where I was and where I am now.
yeah.
I was living in a house with like five other people, just drugs are flowing, and it
Right.
was it was scary at times, the things that.
Mm-hmm.
And now here I am with a family and a house and living my best life, my best sober life. Like,
Right.
whoa.
That's literally
I've
amazing.
been sober for, probably 15 years. No, Colby's 19. So 19 years at this point, but still the point is like I didn't think I would ever get there. It
Right.
was so ingrained in me that I didn't think I would ever get there. And here I
Right.
am,
Here you
living it
are.
up. So, mhm.
You're so well and you're doing so good. And that's amazing. I think about too, it's kind of I remember being so like unhappy in my childhood and like living through, the trauma and all the things and never ever feeling like I was ever gonna live in a happy home. ever. Like I was never going to be safe. I was never going to be calm, and I was never going to be like intentional with my life in any way because I was just like, this is it. Like I'm just always going to feel this way. And now to have like, and obviously I struggle with like some of my own anger and my own temper and, from being taught those things. But in my own home, like I bring the peace to my own home now. You know what I mean? And I get to come home and I finally have that space and that mentality, and it's like almost a breath of fresh air to be like, oh, I'm not there anymore. Like I get to be where I am right now, and thank God that we're here right now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I love it. How about you, Michelle?
Well, before me, I want to go back to you. When you first started talking, I didn't really know where you were going because in your younger years, you are so young. So I didn't know how you were going to reflect on your younger years when
We've
you're so
jam-packed a
young.
lot.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
my few adult years,
Yes,
we've jam-packed almost everything.
yeah. So super proud
I
of
love
you
that. That makes
being a
me laugh.
young mom, doing what you're doing. So that is awesome that you've packed
Mhm.
all that in and doing what you're doing. That's awesome.
Thank
And
you.
Katie, thank you for sharing everything that you shared. That is awesome. And you've made it this far. And
Mhm.
Shauna, we can relate a lot. I know you guys would not think this, but I am much older than you guys. And like you said, Shauna, I have a business degree. I still am doing financial stuff, and I've done that for 20 years. But I worked at a private practice for many, many years. And when, I realized that my doctor is going to retire before I'm going to retire, I need to get out. That's when I transferred over to mental health. And while I was there, I realized I wanted to do something else. So I went back to school in my 40s, and not like a traditional student or anything like that. But would my younger self be proud of me? Yes. Is it ideal that I'm doing this at 46 years old? No. But is there ever a good time to start doing something? No. But I'm doing it. I'm happy that I'm doing it. I'm proud of myself for doing it. Um, and I still have 20 years to work, 25 years to work. I mean,
Time is going to pass anyways.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say? I didn't
Exactly.
hear you.
Whether you're doing it or not, the time is going to pass anyways. So why not?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
hmm
Exactly.
I love that.
So, yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was working in a factory. I mean, I could not see myself doing that forever. That was just like,
Mhm.
a job passing by, things like that. I was going out every night. I was going out, coming home, going to sleep, getting up by the time it was getting ready to go out again. So, yeah, not good situations by any means, but yeah, I'm definitely happy where I am. I'm a good mom. My kids are happy. Yeah, super proud of where I am.
I love that. I'm so glad that
Yeah.
we all said yes.
Yes. Yes.
Um, okay, so that was great. I loved that for us. We have about 9-ish more minutes. So super quick. I just want to our quick little discussion topic is going to be, this is great because this kind of leads right into our topic. We're going to discuss quickly how we each practice mindfulness to benefit our mental health. So what's one thing that each of us do to make sure, say daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is, what's that one thing that you can do to ensure that you're being mindful of yourself and nothing else for a second, just yourself. Like, what's the one thing that you do to look out for yourself? During this discussion, um, we're gonna kind of observe each other's verbal and nonverbal communication and behavior. And then we'll kind of discuss that at the end, what that kind of looked like for each of us while we discuss this topic of mindfulness. So yeah, I can go first. So one thing that I do, I would say it doesn't happen daily because I just don't find the time. I should, but I don't. So I would say weekly. I really have been trying to, and I hate to call it meditation because I really struggle with meditation, right? My brain does not slow down enough to say that my mind is quiet for 20 minutes because it's not. I just really try to take a few minutes, whether it be every other day, once a week, to just take some deep breaths and just be for a second. Whether that means letting my mind race for 20 minutes, that's fine. But I'm still taking deep breaths and I'm still just kind of being present right here, right now. And I feel like that helps, right? And I might lead into, there might be a point in time where my mind can be quiet for 20 minutes, but that's just not it right now. So I do what I can to kind of stay present, stay checked in, make sure that, I'm like checking in with my body, how am I feeling, stuff like that. So I feel like that benefits my mental health as much as I can right now. Michelle, you want to go?
You're asking me if I practice mindfulness.
Yeah.
I struggle with this a lot.
And that's okay.
As much as I try to.
Mhm.
I think I mentioned earlier, we do mindfulness practice at the beginning of every group. I struggle with this a lot. I try to turn my brain off, but as we even close our eyes, I'm opening my eyes to see if anyone's looking.
Mhm.
Sometimes I don't participate.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about 20 other things that I can be doing. I
Mhm.
definitely try. I'm mindful that I'm not mindful, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
That's okay. That's a start for sure.
I
Yes.
totally struggle with that too. It's like, have you ever had like a massage and you have to like calm your brain? I literally have to
Mm,
put myself somewhere in my brain. Otherwise, I just start thinking of everything.
yes.
I have that problem too.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. What do you think, Shauna? What do you think is there anything that you do that kind of grounds you a little bit, helps you be present, mindful?
Um, so I have a lot of animals. I have a small farm. I have
Mhm.
goats, chickens, I have a turkey, I have dogs, cats. So one thing that helps me is I go out and I feed my animals and I sit with my goats. I just sit with
Yeah.
them. They
Mhm.
know if I'm sad, they know if I'm happy. They just know and they just sit next to me and we're just there.
Animals are
And
so
my
healing.
family kind of knows that if I'm in there and I'm just sitting, it's time to leave mom alone. She needs some
Yeah.
space. She needs some time to kind of regather herself and to calm down. So that's kind of what I do. I try to do it weekly. I mean, my goats love it. I love it. It's just
Yeah.
something that I enjoy doing. So
I
it's
Mhm.
love
just,
that.
yeah.
It's amazing. What about you, Katie?
There
Oh,
you go. Sorry, you guys
sorry.
froze on my
Oh
end.
no, you're
Here we
okay.
are.
Okay. Sorry. I heard that you sit with your goats and they know if you're happy or sad, and then that was the last I heard. But I love that. That's awesome. Um, I would say for me, practicing mindfulness, I definitely like to have outside air. So even if I'm like not in the mood to go outside, especially when it's like super hot, I'll open like our slider and I'll just sit on the ground and just like breathe in the air. But I love wintertime when it's cold out and going outside and just like taking some deep breaths. Like I'll go outside in like my pajamas, no coat or anything, and just like take some
Mhm.
deep breaths. Um, I think that's a really big thing that I do for
Mhm.
mindfulness is just because I can't shut my brain off either. So like I can't
Mhm.
meditate, but just
Yeah.
taking some deep breaths, but with that air. Sometimes it's just so stuffy, whether it's in the office or it's here at your
Yeah.
house. Like you
Hmm.
just need that fresh air. So that's what I
And it's
always do
all
every
about,
day.
I feel like too, it's all about like mixing up the energy, right? Like sometimes you just need a break from the energy that
Mhm.
you're around, like, and
Yeah.
even circulating fresh air. They say that like in the morning, the most important thing is to regulate your nervous system. So a huge thing is, no screens for the first hour that you wake up is a
Mhm.
huge mindfulness activity that's so hard. First 5 minutes that you wake up, get your face directly into the sun for 10 minutes, to regulate your rhythms and all the good things. Make sure that you're getting like a protein dense breakfast. Those are all like really, really beneficial mindfulness. I don't I want to say like practices, but it's also so hard to get to a point where you can like I'm not out here like functionally meditating. Like I don't do that. I can't right now. Like I just, and for me, getting up in the morning and sitting quietly for 20 minutes. I don't care if my mind's going, right? I'm slowly training myself to be able to sit and just be for a second. And that's enough right now, you know? As far as you can go is the best that you can do. You know what I mean? And that's all there is to it. I feel like that's your best is what matters, you know? Um, good. I feel like that's great. Mindfulness is so important, and I feel like all you can do is do what you can, you know, just
Be
to,
mindful of being
yeah,
mindful.
yeah, be mindful that we're not always mindful,
Yes.
for sure. What's that TikTok? Very demure, very cutesy, very mindful. Um, okay, so we have 2 minutes left. The last thing is to have a little bit of a discussion about nonverbal and verbal communication that we noticed during this group. So I noticed a lot of like active listening. I feel like we're really good about like making sure that we're like, yes, I hear you. You're
Yes.
understood. I hear you. You're valid. Like I feel like we're really good at that. Um, Katie, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that we shake our heads a lot, like when we're like
Mhm.
agreeing with each other. And I also think we smile a lot when we're on this together.
Mhm.
But we're also like good about if we're having a serious conversation. I think we are like locked in
Yes.
and we're not, texting on our phones or anything. I know when you guys have older kids who can be running around, like mine who's upstairs sleeping and can't walk, that
Same.
they're not like coming in and bothering you guys. And I think that's a really big thing to like point out, like kudos to you and your partners who are keeping them away from you guys, because I think that's huge that you guys aren't distracted by them. Um, so that's awesome of you guys too, to be able to be focused in this group. And I think that's great.
And you for having like a little baby that, you know, a little tiny, teeny, tiny baby that you can,
I
you know,
know.
yeah,
Oh, sweet baby.
He
yes.
cries sometimes. My cat was having an
He
asthma
cries
attack, so I had
sometimes.
to mute. So if you guys, I muted myself because my cat has asthma and sometimes has an asthma attack. And so he was right here breathing really loud.
Oh,
So,
no.
but sometimes the baby's upstairs crying too. But I think there's enough space where you don't hear him. But
That's
I'm
so
Well,
sorry
funny.
if you're.
Oh, you're
I
fine.
was texting on the phone because my son was coming home from practice, and I said, "Please come in quietly. I'm
Yeah.
on a Zoom."
See? You're being mindful. I love that.
Yeah.
I
That's
Yeah.
was.
it. Yes. So
I
Yes.
did have to
thanks,
mute
Michelle.
myself too because my dog was talking back to me, and I was like, "Listen, buddy, like we're not going outside right now. I'm in a Zoom call. We're not doing
Right.
this." And he's like,
What do you
No,
think,
totally.
Michelle, for
we
nonverbal and verbal
we
communication?
definitely have a good group dynamic, and respect each other, and you know we all listen and participate. So no, I think we're doing awesome.
Yes. What do you think, Shauna?
I think it's hard to read people's nonverbals over the camera, right? We're trying, yeah, we can look at our faces, but we don't know like what the rest of our body is
Body language.
doing. And it's just so, I think it's something that we've had to get used to since COVID. I definitely, this has become more and more and more and more that we're doing this over Zoom. And that's okay. I actually kind of like it because then it actually brings mental health and counseling to people who couldn't leave their house or
Right.
people that are just can't fit things in, like, oh, hey, here's my lunch break. I'm going to have a counseling meeting instead of having to drive there and then drive home. But I think that as a group, we're doing really well at
Mhm.
reading each other. When somebody stops, we're waiting our turn and
Mhm. I
kind
think
of watching their facial expressions.
I think
Mhm.
it's really beneficial that we have a group that like, yes, we active listen non-verbally, we shake our heads and we smile and we give that like non-verbal reassurance, but we're also like, hey, side note, I'm in your corner. Like you're valid.
Mhm.
I hear you. Like, and I love that we're like vocalizing that we're understanding each other and like I hear you. I've been in the same boat, you know, connecting. And I feel like that's really great that we have a group that we can do that. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I agree.
that's it. Does anybody else have anything else to share before we sign off?
No. Great
No?
job, girls.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. Thank you so much.